What's up, LA Live Gang? This is your boy AC, and I'm back with a special live stream, a special late night live stream edition of LA Sports Live. We are live right now on YouTube and Twitch. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody on Twitch watching us. This was not a scheduled, not really a scheduled live stream. I am working overnight, and so I didn't catch the Lakers game when I woke up. Um, I guess it was like the final minutes of the fourth quarter, or whatever. And of course, the Lakers were getting their ass kicked, and so that was it. That's it. Lakers officially eliminated from all playoff hopes tonight by the Phoenix Suns. Um, I don't know what was it, 20-point victory, or when I woke up, they were down by 20. Nothing out of the ordinary for the Lakers this season. Um, what we still have three more games left, so the season is not officially over. But for all intents and purposes, when you have a team that had championship aspirations, uh, once you get knocked out and eliminated from playoff contention, the season is basically over. Um, I'm just say this right off the top, right off the top. Um, I'm going to do tomorrow. So I go home, get some sleep or whatever. Sometime, probably, probably around noon, man. Whenever I wake up or whatever, I'll do kind of a season recap of the Lakers. We'll start. We'll start from the preseason up until now. I don't know if I'll do the whole season or whatever, but we'll just go over a few things. Um, excuse me, guys. It's what 11, about it's like 10 minutes to 12 out here in LA. I'm supposed to be asleep, but no, I'm working, so you might hear a lot of yawning and stuff. But anyway, um, but briefly off the top of the dome, the Lakers preseason. I mean, the Lakers off season kicked off. Um, it really kicked off at the draft night, because draft night is the night where all the trades and stuff kicked off, and that's when the Russ trade kicked off, and then that's when you got to be kidding me, man, with this thing. That's when everything started. So, um, but in retrospect, since that draft night and the trades, everything just pretty much went downhill, man. You know, the Lakers assembled a team around their own big three: LeBron, AD, and Russ. You had three max players. Excuse me. The team was pretty much filled with minimum contract players. And for the most part of all those players, we got minimum contract effort and production. you know, I'm only going to talk about one bench player in particular. You got to be kidding me with this seatbelt thing. Let me put my seatbelt on real quick. Where the fuck is the seatbelt thing at? All right, sorry about that. I'm talking about one bench player, and I know most people will probably say that Carmelo was maybe the lone bright spot of the veteran players, or one of the lone bright spots as far as the Laker bench players. But where I feel Carmelo kind of let the team down is from a leadership standpoint, man. He, I just kind of watch some of the guys' body language or whatever, man. But Carmelo never looked, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Go, Mike. Did Carmelo ever look like he gave a shit whether the Lakers won or lost? I mean, he would go out there, score his points, shoot his threes. He did play a little bit defense here as best as he could. But really, man, I'm just kind of disgusted with the lack of leadership from him, and because he never did look like the Lakers, like he gave a shit whether the Lakers won or not. He just like was just like, here, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna jack up some threes. I'm gonna take a couple shots. I'm gonna take a couple of tough shots. I'm gonna play a little bit of defense because I know I got to play a little bit because, or I'm not gonna get on the court. So I'm gonna play a little bit of defense, but that's it, man. And I just think Carmelo, he could have did a little bit more from a leadership standpoint. He could have spoke up on certain things. Maybe maybe he felt it wasn't his place, being new to the team or whatever. But I was just kind of disappointed with uh with Carmelo, man. You know, and I know if you talk to a lot of Laker fans, I know a lot of them are going to be like, look, if we're going to bring anybody back, it's going to be Carmelo. Well, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that, guys, man, because I don't know. If he's just going to come here and do his thing and not say nothing, there's other guys who could do that. There's other. I just feel like there's other guys that can do that, and they could probably they could probably uh, they could probably pitch in a little bit more than just the limited amount of stuff that Carmelo was doing. But that's just my opinion. I'm not going to talk about any other bench players because it's not really worth talking about. We'll talk about the big three. Russ, you know, overall, look, if you overall look at Russ's stats and everything, um, I think a lot of Laker fans probably had some unfair expectation of Russ. He isn't the latter part of his career, and pretty much I've been kind of following Russ low key ever since he went to Houston because I was kind of intrigued with the thought of Russ and Harden, two MVPs, that they had an outside shot of doing something. We know how that turned out, but my point is, I used to follow Russ, and I used to always be checking the box score and everything. And what we saw from him this season was indicative of you know the kind of performance, the kind of output of what I've been seeing for him for the last few years. It's not much different, not much change. The only thing that really changed is his athleticism has declined a little, and also he's on another team with a whole bunch of new players, man. So I think it was maybe some unfair expectations on Russ, and 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 Russ also kind of had that veteran mentality as to I'm going to do me, and I have a specific way how I'm going to do me, and this is the way it's going to be. I do think he was kind of put in an unfair position. Well, I won't say unfair position, but I would just say uncomfortable by Frank Vogel, because Frank Vogel did kind of change up on him a lot. He's been asked to do a lot of different things, and I really don't think Russ cares for Vogel too much. That'll all come out once the season's over with, and I believe on Monday. I think the Sunday. I think the last game is on Sunday, so that means either Monday or Tuesday we're gonna start having exit interviews, and so a lot of this stuff, and a lot of players, a lot of these guys are free agents. They'll start talking, and we'll kind of get a behind the scenes view. And it'll just be a lot of talk about what was going on in that locker room, how certain players felt about other players, how certain players felt about certain situations, and we've already heard a little bit about some things that Malik Monk has said about what's going on in the locker room. And I think when a team like this has done so much losing, man, there's going to be a lot of stuff. It's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out that we haven't heard about. people are going to have stuff to say. So I can't wait till next week. So it'd be cool if the exit interviews were waited till Wednesday when I'm off, because I could just cover them live. But I'm pretty sure they'll do them right as soon as the season's over on Monday and Tuesday, and I'll be at work. But I'll still, do what I can as far as the coverage. But so that's the deal. With that's just how I feel about Russ, man. It was maybe some unfair expectations, uh, but I'll just say his performance was just indicative of what I saw from him for the last few seasons. So it's not really no surprises. Uh, you know, the Russ that we saw in OKC, the MVP Russ, those days are over with, man. Those days are over with, man. And I don't know. I just think that kind of caught a lot of Laker fans by surprise, and maybe even caught LeBron James by surprise too, and Anthony Davis. Okay, let's move on to the next max player, Anthony Davis. I believe Anthony Davis played in his 40th game tonight. So he missed over half the games last season, and so maybe I don't even know if he's going to play another game this season. You saw the foot is still not totally healed, um, because he was limping tonight. You know, a lot of people bash Anthony Davis, man, and he's got injury issues, and it just is what it is, man. This shit just kind of happens. The Lakers have him. I don't think they're going to plan on trading him anytime soon, so it's just something we're going to have to deal with. There's no doubt that he's a great player, one of the top players in the game when he's completely healthy. But he's got to get that situation with his health squared away. Hopefully, he'll have a different approach to it. There's an off season. I will say to his defense that the injuries he had this year, they were kind of like fluke injuries, especially the first one. Not really his fault, so we can't really put that on him. But what I will say is, I saw a lot of people bashing AD and saying that he let he's a disappointment to the franchise, a disappointment to his teammates and stuff, man. But injuries are a part of the game. And another thing I will say is, look, I can't tell you for sure what the Lakers' record was when Anthony Davis went down, but they were flip flopping around. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: they were definitely not below 500 before he got hurt. But say what you will about Anthony Davis, but when Anthony Davis went down, that team immediately nosedived and went into the toilet and could never recover. Even though we did, I'll just keep this on him. When he went down, when he was hurt, this team did an immediate nosedive and could not pull his way up and could not, get back above 500. Nothing. It was just over. It was just over. And I just think that's kind of the team was trash defensively, but I'm just saying, uh, that I think the fact that the team just went to the tank when he got hurt is kind of a testament to how good of a player he is and how big of an impact he can actually make on both sides of the basketball court, offense and defense. Um, Obviously, he's not a number one. He's got to have he's got to have good complementary players around him. The Lakers didn't have that, and then even in these last few games where he tried to come back and play, they just didn't have it. They just didn't have it. Um, but one thing you're not going to hear from me, um, I'm not going to bash AD too much because he quite simply I only judge people by what they do on the court. If he wasn't available, I really can't bash him too much. But say what you will about him, but when he did play, he put up decent numbers, and the numbers could have been better, could have been a little bit more respectable. But when you have a whole new team around him, and then you're trying to implement his third point guard in 30 years. If he doesn't have the proper time to gel with that point guard, man, of course his numbers are going to suffer, amongst other things. Now, let's get to LeBron James, and then maybe I'll talk about salute to everybody chat. Then maybe I'll talk about who they should keep and who they should let go. Maybe I might say that video for later when I do the season recap. But fuck, excuse me, guys. LeBron James. LeBron James. Now, uh, look, I'm gonna just be totally honest about LeBron James. Um, I like LeBron James a lot. He's a great player, one of the best ever to ever do it, no doubt about it. But what Laker fans I got to understand, man, is we caught this guy uh, toward the end of his career, man. We really, to be honest with you, the great LeBron James, we only really got about 18 months of it. And I'm not discounting what kind of year he had last year. And I'm definitely not discounting what kind of year he had this year. But I'm just saying we got him for half a season his first year because then he went down with the groin injury and he came back. He was never the same. And then we got him for the 2020 season, the championship season. And the Lakers were able to put together a decent team around him. And he was able to lead us to the championship. Me as a Laker fan, I'll be forever grateful to LeBron James for doing that. We got a championship on his watch, and I have to salute him. And I will always respect him as a Laker fan. I always will. But what Laker fans got to understand, man, like I said before, man, we caught this dude at the end of his career. And then what I think you've seen this season, if you're a Laker fan, you just have to be real about it. LeBron's at the end of his career. They did not. I, Here's what I'll say: LeBron's at the end of his career, and the difference between now and let's say 6 years ago, 4 or 5 6 years ago, you could just damn near. And I know I'm being a little bit ridiculous, but you could just damn near throw anybody around LeBron James, and he could get it done. My bad, guys. 4 or 5 years ago, you could just throw anybody around LeBron James, and he could get it done. That's not the case anymore. LeBron, he can still do his thing. He can take over games in spurts. Uh, but at his age, he just doesn't have the energy level. He doesn't have the foot speed uh, to dominate a game from the beginning to the end. He just can't. And I'm not knocking him, man, but that's just the way it is, man. Once you get to a certain age, you just don't have it like that. And so where I think LeBron screwed up this year and the Lakers screwed up this year is LeBron he has to be cognizant of that and aware of that. Um, yeah, he knew he had AD and he was bringing in Russ. But when you look at the Lakers roster, it really wasn't a lot of legit firepower after that because most of these guys were way out of their prime or totally unproven. And the worst case scenario happened this season. A lot of these guys just they did not perform. They did not perform at all. And then when you have LeBron at the age he is, where he can't do it all, it used to be a situation where LeBron could do it all, but he just can't do that anymore. And what happens when you have that situation is what you're seeing this year, just a very bad season. Uh, how much of it is LeBron's fault? He takes a little bit of the blame, not all of it. But what I would just say is LeBron has to be cognizant of that and he has to be aware of that. And now, what I'm saying, going into this off season, if he's still, if Rob Palinka's still there, uh, you know, if Rob Palinka's still there, that's not a given either. But let's just say if Rob Palinka's still there this off season, him, LeBron, and AD. They have to really sit down and talk about this team's roster and which direction they want to go in. And they really have to put together a good team, a good team. And really, in my opinion, the team needs to be focused around the strengths of Anthony Davis and build around him. It's my opinion. I might be wrong because of the injury thing, but the thing is, LeBron's only under contract for 1 more year, and we got to start get preparing for the future. So, but overall, what I was just saying about LeBron and the Lakers, they really have to understand and realize that he can't do it all anymore. You can't just throw anybody with him. They have to really be calm, cool, calculated, and really pick the pieces around him very carefully, man, to complement him, at his age now. And so he won't have to do, so he won't have to do as much. And so he won't have to take on so much of a load. And then maybe that'll give the Lakers a halfway fighting chance next season. Um, as far as LeBron is concerned, with all his scoring and all that kind of stuff, man, I know some Laker fans are going to resent that because we're losing. We're losing like hell, but that doesn't really bother me because hell, if we didn't have LeBron scoring all these points and doing all this stuff, you really didn't have much to cheer for this season, man. So I'm not going to hate on LeBron for seeing the situation. LeBron sees the situation. He knows they're not going to win. So he just why not have achieve some personal goals. I know he's still trying, he's still trying to win. He's doing what he about as best he can, and he's doing what he thinks he needs to do to help the team win. But at the same time, he's such a goddamn gifted athlete that he can still score. He can still score. He's incorporated the three into his arsenal, and it worked. It worked. You know, number wise, stat wise, it worked this season. He was able to move into number two in the all time scoring list. He's second only to Kareem. And just to sum it up for LeBron, yeah, he had some injury issues. He didn't make it in the game tonight for it because of injury issues, and that's another conversation because I told you guys before the injury situation with LeBron James, whether it be the knee, whether it be the ankle or whatever, this is going to be with him the rest of his career because he's older, and that's just the way it is. So you don't ever expect LeBron to play another game where he's going to play 82 games. It's just not going to happen. It's not a knock on him. That's just the way the shit is, man. So don't get over that. But I guess individually speaking, I guess it was an okay, good season for LeBron. But from a Laker fans' point of view, man, it was just overshadowed by so much losing that for certain Laker fans, they just not really gonna give a shit about the records and the scoring and all that kind of stuff when it's mired in the middle of a bunch of losing because it's just not what Laker fans are accustomed to, and it's not what they expect. Um, so what I would say is, I think, I really hope when this season is over, some of the guys they do a little bit of soul searching. Um, one of the issues I think with LeBron is, and I think he's getting older. I think his point of view will kind of change a little bit. Is he's kind of like, well, he's gonna do his thing. He's sort of semi like Russ, but but not really, not the same. He's gonna do his thing, and it is what it is. He's in LA. He's going to stay. He ain't leaving. He's going to stay. He's going to try to close his career out. Forget all that stuff about uh, little LeBron, him playing with him. Forget all that. I know he doesn't want to leave LA. He's planning on staying. But what I think LeBron has to do after this season, I think he will be humbled a little bit, and now he will kind of realize that he can't do it all. And then, like I said, I hope he realizes that. And then, he'll sit down, and then his game plan in the off season, as far as him sitting down with Laker management and trying to put another team around him that they'll put some a little bit more thought and a little bit more attention to detail rather than just grabbing names, throwing stuff together and hoping it works. You can't. The last player I saw in the Lakers at this age that was still effective was Kareem, and Kareem by that time he had taken a back seat. You know the difference between Kareem and uh, and LeBron at this age. Of course, LeBron is still much more effective, but the thing about it is with this damn salary cap, um, LeBron, yes, he's a very effective player, but he is a very older player, and he can't. You know, it's just certain things he can't do anymore. So that's why I'm just trying to say and make the point is it's just very important that they surround him with better complementary players and just they just got to make sure they put together a good cohesive team and not a band of misfits and a band of old washed up players. That's what they got to do. Now, as far as who they should keep, I'll just say this. Now, I know, especially myself, that during this season, you know, we didn't make any trades at the trade deadline. Oh, shit. Excuse me, guys. We did bring in some guys who Laker fans kind of. I'll bring it. I talk about the guys who they brought in at the end of the season. We brought in DJ Augustine. Um, he's a serviceable player, but particularly Wayne and Gabriel and Stanley Johnson. Um, those two guys, you know, those are good players. Uh, we made a lot of noise about when we got those players. He said, "Hey, those are good young players, kind of type of players that the Lakers needed." Um, made a lot of noise about them. We were happy about them, but let's be real about this. These guys are marginal players. That's why they've been on so many different teams in so many years. They're marginal players, man, and definitely complementary role at the end of the bench type players. Now, would I keep those guys? Yeah, I would keep them. I would keep those guys. I definitely would keep Austin Reeves, maybe. But the thing is, we need more established, veteran, bigger players coming off that bench. You know, the thing about it is, yeah, Stanley Johnson, he's a very solid defensive player, but he was so 90% of the time, the matchups that they were putting Stanley Johnson in, he was guarding people 3, 4, 5 inches taller than him, man. Then I hear people saying Stanley Johnson be getting good, getting cooked or whatever, because he's playing with. He's guarding people much bigger than him, man. Yeah, so his ass gonna get cooked. You can bring Stanley back, but only if you bring back bigger, stronger, athletic wing players, 6'7" and up, for them to take those bigger players to guard, and then Stanley can go back and guard some of the smaller forwards, or he can guard be on the perimeter and guard guards, and then I think he'll be more effective. Austin Reeves is just a rookie, and you know what you see, he's an undrafted rookie, even though he would have been drafted, but we already know that situation. But anyhow, he's just an undrafted rookie. He got a lot of playing time. Uh, he played decent. I don't think he's going to be no superstar player or nothing like that. He's just going to be as maybe a solid role player. That's it. Do you bring him back? Excuse me, guys. He makes less than $1 million. Yeah, you can bring him back, and I think he's probably going to be a little bit more better next season because he got a lot of playing time, So he's got a year under his belt. So he should be a little bit better. THT, I don't have really too much of a comment on THT. Um, to his defense, I'll just say it seems like to me with a team with LeBron James and Russ on it. It for a player with like THT who has to have the ball to be effective. I don't see how he'll really be able to flourish when you got these two other guys who also need the ball uh, playing ahead of him. So I'll be nice and fair to THT and say, hey, he had an okay season, nothing spectacular, as my dad would say, but just like I don't think we'll never be able to see him flourish and be the player he can really wants to be because he doesn't have the opportunity enough opportunity to have the ball to do and to do his thing. He needs to work on his jumper. He needs to work on his 3 point shooting. He needs to work on his movement without the basketballs so he can get himself easy buckets. Because he's got to be more than on one dimensional drive to the bucket player. I mean, he's got to expand his game. You know, he's a good enough athlete uh, to do that. That's just my opinion. That's the stuff that he needs to work on. Now, who else? Malik Monk. Here's the thing about Malik Monk. I know a lot of people are crazy in love with Malik Monk, but he's good, not great. He could be hot and cold. He can be hot and cold like crazy. And I know a lot of people are saying like we gotta have Malik Monk. We gotta have Malik Monk. I'd like to have Malik Monk, but shit. But somebody, somebody's gonna offer him some decent money. If I were him, I would take it. But that's no guarantee. But I believe he wants to stay in LA. But honestly, I think it's probably going to be some stuff that happened in the locker room or based upon who stays or who goes with this team, the off season that the Lakers make a trade in amongst their big three players. That may kind of determine what Malik Monk does. Because it's like this. Malik Monk is a free agent. The Lakers are very limited on what the kind of money they can offer him. But I'll just say this, the Lakers, they let a player like Alex Caruso walk, who's a free agent, who offered to stay for less money, and they still decide to let him walk. And I understand all the ramifications and salary cap and luxury tax. I understand all that. But I'm like this. I don't think Malik Monk is no better in his role. I'm not saying he's not a better player than Alex Caruso, but I'm just saying in his role as a role player, I don't think that he was any better than Alex Caruso at what he did and what he did well versus uh, what Alex Caruso did and what he did in his role. And the Lakers didn't want to pay Alex Caruso, and I'm not so sure they're going to want to pay Malik Monk. So that's just my opinion. No, I'm not talking about him as a player. I don't have anything against him. I'm just going by how the Lakers operate. And like I just said, we just saw it last season. They chose not to bring an obvious guy who obviously made an impact, as a role player, as a bench player in Alex Caruso. They let him walk. And I don't see that being any different than with Malik Monk. I'm not saying I don't want him. I'm just saying, it just kind of depends on how things shake down. If we make any trades, what players that they bring in, the Lakers may feel that they don't have a need for Malik Monk because basically Malik Monk he's more polished offensively and has a bigger bag offensively than THT. You know, they believe THT still has the ability to be a better defensive player, but you know, I guess we'll just have to see. We just have to see. So that's about it for the bench and the younger players. Um, all the other guys, man, your Trevor Ariza's, your Avery Bradley, your Wayne Ellingtons, your Kent Bazemore, man, who you know what's up with those guys, man. Those guys are gone. It's over. Toast. Half of those guys are probably more than likely to be retired after this season. Believe it or not, I think I don't know why, but for whatever reason, man, I want to keep Dwight around. I don't know why, but it's just Dwight for me is just one of those kind of players. I just like him. You know, his playing Dwight's playing days may be over. Uh, you know, with the Lakers or even in the NBA. But for me personally, I'd bring Dwight back. We just got to get another big, another one or two bigs to help back up and complement Anthony Davis. But I don't know. Dwight's just one. He's just a favorite of mine. He doesn't cause problems. I don't know what that. I don't know what that was with him earlier in the season with Anthony Davis, but look how fast that got that got swept up under the rug. It was never an issue, and I remember Dwight specifically saying after it happened, he said, "That's it. It's over. You're not gonna have no more problems." And like I said, that might be another situation. That might be another situation that we might hear about later in the off season. Might not, we know the dust up was between AD and Dwight, but it might not even have nothing to do with them really. It might just, these type of situations really don't know. It was uncharacteristic of both players, and we just have to wait and see. Um, so those young players, I wouldn't mind seeing some of them back. Um, like I said, as far as the old fogies, I don't care if I ever see him again. Trevor, Ellington, Bazemore, Bradley. I just really don't give a damn. As far as I can see, their days are their best days are over. So I don't care if they come back. I doubt if they come back to the Lakers. The only bad thing about this is if the Lakers don't make a trade amongst their big three players, so that means you're gonna have your big three coming back, and then maybe you'll have, let's just say, you have THT, you'll have Johnson, and you'll have Reeves. Not so sure about Gabriel. Not so sure about uh, Stanley. So that's only a handful of players. And so even if the Lakers don't make a Russell Westbrook trade, they're still looking at half of their team being the new players next season. Half. And that's at the minimum. And if you trade Russ, it's going to be almost a mirror situation of this season, where you got damn near 4 or 5 guys, and the other 10 guys are going to be new. So that's just the way it is, man. Well, we'll just have to see how it goes. But at the end of the day, a tremendously disappointing season by the Lakers. I'm sorry, guys. I had to throw in the towel a couple months ago, as far as me doing the pre games and post games and all that, man. Because with little hair, I got hair, but that shit was growing in gray like hell, and it was stressing me out. And I hate to say it, I just really I had to kind of let it go and step back, because I'm a real Laker fan. I'm a passionate Laker fan. I kind of live and die by the Lakers. But what was going on this season was really, really hurting. Just be honest with you. It's late night here. Let's just be honest with you, bro. That shit was hurting. It was bad. Uh, and quite honestly, it was making me sick. So I had to pull back quite a bit. I had to pull back. But the next season is starting, and it's going to start after Monday. I consider the off season as the next season. So that off season is going to start on Monday and Tuesday. A lot of people expect the very first move is for Frank Vogel to be fired. Man, I'm not 100% convinced of that shit. I mean, that might be the very first move, first thing that we hear on Sunday. It might be, but I'm not so convinced of that. That's just my opinion. I'm gonna state one more thing that I'm gonna get up out of here. As far as when this thing ends on Sunday. I said it before, and I'll say it again. In my opinion, ultimately, the person who I hold accountable for this season is nobody I've talked about at all in this live stream tonight, and that's Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss owns the Lakers, and now, and she's the governor, and she's in charge, and she's pulling the strings. Um, and now Jeannie is finally, her feet is being held to the fire. Laker fans are starting to hold her accountable. At first, it used to be we did never say nothing bad about Jeannie. We never did. But now it's like this. The word is out. We done looked up the Lakers' record since she's taken over. I believe the Lakers are 100 games, over 100 games, under 500 since she's taken over. Thank God for LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Markieff Morris and Kyle Kuzma and KCP and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard and Danny Green. We were able to win a championship in 2020 by the grace of God and the pandemic. And unfortunately, God bless Kobe and Gigi. Uh, those things happened, but it was all part of the 2020 season. But we were somehow, some way able to win a championship. But outside of that, under her reign, it's been trash. Outside of that championship, under Jeannie's reign, it's been trash. So what I say is, look, Jeannie, I know some people are saying she's got to step down. She ain't gonna step down. It ain't. She ain't gonna do it. But what I would say is, Jeannie, like I said it before, and I say it again, you got one thing you need to do. This days of running the Lakers as a mom and pop organization are over. You got a multi. This is a multi-million-dollar franchise. Like it or not, Laker fans, Clutch Sports is deep, deep up in the Lakers. There's a partnership formed between Clutch Sports and the Lakers. I would like to see that partnership continue. LeBron James ain't gonna be here forever, but they represent other players, and we can get some other ones. I would like to see it continue, but what I will say is this: uh, this Kurt and Linda Rambis, this stuff, this Rob Pelinka being in charge, but he's not in charge. He don't get the final say. That kind of stuff. These stories coming out. The Lakers don't want to give this kind of player this year, this kind of contract. They don't want to play the player this many years on that contract. The Lakers don't want to pay a coach this kind of money. They don't want to give him this kind of years. The Lakers want to pick the coach's fucking staff. I'm tired of hearing these dumb, stupid ass stories like that. That shit has to end. It has to stop. You got to stop acting like a broke ass mom and pop operation. Jeannie Buss, like I said before, take your monkey ass to Oklahoma City. You find out where Sam Presti lives, where he stays, where he plays golf, where he goes to church, where his kids go to school. You camp your ass out, and you don't leave Oklahoma City until you sign Sam Presti to a multi-year deal to come run the Lakers. That's your task. That's your job, Jeannie. That's your lone task for this summer. Sign Sam Presti to get this organization back under control, back on the straight and narrow, without all these stupid ass distractions. Give him control of the basketball operations. He hasn't won. He's been to the finals, but he hasn't won a championship. But this guy's a top notch A1 executive, and come on, man. We gotta move into the new generation. All this crap all this crap about it's just I'm a Laker fan, man. I love Magic. I love Magic. Salute to everybody in the chat. In the chat, I love Magic. Magic and Shaq is my two favorite Lakers. God bless Kobe. He's number three, maybe. But running the shit like a bullshit mom and pop thing, man. You got to stop that, bro. It's making us look bad. It's making you making bad decisions. You're looking foolish. Now the word is out. The word is out. Everybody knows your record as an executive. Everybody knows it. You're losing outside of 1 year. Hell, I could even say as a Laker fan, we got lucky. The season got delayed for 2 months. LeBron and AD was able to rest up. We got into the bubble. LeBron, I'll give credit to him. That nigga was able to lock in, and he was able to punk all them niggas in there. He won that title a little bit more than the rest of everybody else, and he went in there and took it. And he still had enough gas. He still had enough juice in the tank, and he had just enough of AD and Rondo and the other role players to do it. But outside of that, man, we ain't had a damn thing. Outside of that, we haven't had a damn thing to cheer about. And Jeannie, you have to see this. These days, I mean, we've heard you say the things that you do. We've heard Kobe say the things that you do, how you operate. We've heard you say out of your own mouth how you had, uh, you struggled with firing your brother, and and I understand that. But we understand. You said, and Kobe said, look, you had to run to Kobe for advice. You had to run to Kareem for. I mean, you had to run to Magic for advice. Come on, man. Where do you ever hear Mark Cuban saying I had to run to this person and had to run to that person to get advice, to get help? No. Come on, man. You gotta you gotta operate better than that. You gotta operate better than that. That's why I say enough is enough. You've had almost your 10 years of running the thing yourself. Like I said before, the Lakers have a very, very lucrative business side of their operations. Even though I know they didn't get money from the crypto deal, I know a lot of people don't know, but the Lakers don't own Staples Center. Staples Center, they don't own Staples Center. The Answers Group owns Staples Center, so they didn't get a part of all that money. The Lakers are not getting any money, nor do they have any say in this basketball and this HBO show. They don't have nothing to do with it. But the point is, indirectly, they still making money off of it because people are talking about the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers. Lakers are number one. LeBron James number one, and the jersey sales and all that kind of stuff. So I know they make a lot of money off of that, man. So the Genie, you handle that. But I'm telling you, don't continue to operate like you've been operating, man. I really do. I don't know what Kobe would say. I don't care. I'm going by what I say, what I think. Stop operating like this. Get with it. Act like this is a damn Fortune 500 company, and hire. And like you said, we've heard you say, and I've heard several interviews of the late great Dr. Jerry Buss. And what did Jerry Buss say? I learned to hire good people and let them do their thing. Let them handle their part of the business. Let them handle their part of operations. And when the final decision had to be made, they bring it to me. But come on, Jeannie. Pull the trigger. Do yourself a favor. Stop embarrassing the Lakers and acting like a damn mom and pop operation. Hire a good basketball person, Sam Presti. Let him run the basketball operations. I can guarantee a championship within 3 to 5 seasons. And I don't want to get on here and people are gonna say the way I'm talking crazy. But like when you're a leader, you got to be direct. You can't be waffling. Yeah, you might have one or two people you might call, But this mess about calling the old players and all this other kind of stuff. I don't have nothing against Magic. I don't have nothing against Kareem. But look, man, those days are over. Them niggas are too many years removed from the game. You need a fresh, young mind in charge and let them do their thing. I know you probably think your little brother. A lot of y'all don't know Joey's assistant general manager of the Lakers. You probably think he's too young, but I like Joey Buss. But anyway, that's a topic of another conversation. But the point is, I put a poll up on my community tab. Laker fans, want your ass out of there. Now I know you ain't gonna get out of there, but I'm just saying they done with you. They done with the losing. So, Jeannie, that's your long job this off season. In the community tab, I said, hey, who do you want to run the Lakers basketball operations? It was a landslide. Sam Presti. Um, I put another poll in the community tab. I said, hey, if the Lakers make a coaching change, who do you want? And I believe it was a landslide again. Mark Jackson. We'll talk about that again tomorrow. I'm gonna be up here again. If I don't come on around new time tomorrow, guys, I'll be back on. Excuse me, about this time tonight because I'll be working again tomorrow night, and then maybe we'll talk about the coaching search. Um, tomorrow, but these are all big decisions. These are all big decisions. But me personally, from what I've seen, if Jeannie makes this one decision and she doesn't mess it up, now there ain't no damn guarantees that Sam Presti will come. There's no guarantees at all. Uh, he seems to be quite comfortable in Oklahoma. But I'm just saying, man, if you want to make a move, uh, that's what you do now. In the chat, hey, Love Laker podcast, man. What's up, bro? I subscribe to your channel, man. I ain't seen no new videos lately, man. But keep up the good work. Yeah, but you know what? Look here. This is what I'll say about Vogel. We all believe Vogel should have been fired a long time ago. But at that time, we couldn't foresee that Anthony Davis was going to go down. And what this team is like over 10 games, 500, over 10 games under 500. And the thing about that is, man, I don't know if bringing in another coach, how many more games that would have won us. How many more games? They wouldn't have brought in a new coach, so they would have promoted one assistant. So, if they would have promoted Miles Simon, if they would have promoted Phil Handy, if they would have promoted, I forgot, dude with the glasses. How many games better would have made the Lakers, man? You know, how many more games better would have made the Lakers? I'm not really convinced. I don't know, but I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not so sure how many games. I'm not saying there's not a problem with Vogel. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying with this situation here, with the players that we have here, um, I don't know how much of a difference another coach would have made. And so that's the reason why I think he wasn't fired. And then when we had all these injuries and all the other kind of stuff, the management just kind of looked at it as this ain't really his fault. Ain't really his fault. Now, Doc Rivers, let's not talk about Doc Rivers. I mean, come on. If the Lakers hire Doc Rivers for next season, man, bro, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't know. I'll wait and see how things go. But if they hire Doc Rivers, I won't be watching too much. I'll just say that. I won't be watching too much because I think that would be a waste of time. Um, I won't say nothing about the coaching search, but we've heard the obvious names. We've heard Quinn Snyder's been look. Quinn Snyder has been talked about. Mark Jackson has been talked about. A couple other people. Oh shit! I don't want to take my seatbelt off. The thing's gonna be tripping. couple other people have been mentioned. But let me tell you one name that I heard, one name that I read about, one name that I read about that the Lakers might be interested in a coach is John Calipari. Now I don't know if you guys heard about that, but I read about it that John Calipari might be interested. I don't know. Did he ever come to the NBA before? I don't remember. Coach Cal, I can't remember, but I read somewhere that he might be interested in coming back to the NBA, and I did hear Coach Calipari's name associated with the Lakers, and also now we saw what happened with Duke. Duke is eliminated, of course. You know they eliminated, and it was announced that Coach K was retiring from the Duke basketball program. But then I heard the other day that Coach K is not retired. Now you guys know, I don't know how far back you guys go, but let me read the chat. Yeah, shit, I lost my train of thought. Um, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what the Lakers gonna do with the coach. I'm just reading the chat. Russ wasn't open to being a six man. Biggest issue, Russ isn't a starter. Yeah, Russ is a declining player, man. We can all see that now. I think LeBron can see that firsthand. But it's not really too much you can do about it. Um, him going to the bench, I'm pretty sure they considered it, but I think they were probably too worried about him, creating a fuss. Oh, so look, Coach K. What I was gonna say is Coach K was supposed to coach the Lakers many, many years ago. Dr. Bus was trying to bring Coach K here many years ago, and it was real close to happening. It was real close to happening. But I'm hearing this little bit of stuff that Coach K might want to come to the Lakers. Now, I don't believe it because I think I Googled it, and Coach K is damn near 80 years old. I, I just, I just have a hard time believing. Mm, shit, in this graveyard is some bullshit. I hate this shit. But anyway, um, I love Coach K. I think he would be a great addition. I think he could coach the hell out of the Lakers. But I just don't think he'd be interested. And I just, look at his age. Look at his age, man. Coach K almost 80 years old. I just don't think it's gonna happen, man. I just don't think this is gonna happen. If it were to happen, Coach K or even Coach Calipari, I would embrace it because think about it. Here's another aspect of it that we didn't talk about as far as Coach Calipari. Who coached Anthony Davis in college? Coach Cal. Um, a lot of this stuff now we'll go into it on my next video about when we talk about the off season and stuff. But I personally, like I said before, I think the Lakers should focus on building everything around Anthony Davis. And that also includes the coach. That also includes the coach. Anthony Davis is a great, tremendously skilled, and he's a very talented player. But I kind of believe Anthony Davis needs somebody getting his ass. I think Anthony Davis needs somebody to challenge him and to talk shit to him. LeBron is not that guy. LeBron is not that type of guy, and that's not disrespect to him. But LeBron's not that type of leader. Now he might yell at the motherfuckers a little bit on the court and all that old fancy shit and get mad, get pissed off and frustrated. But he ain't really the type of person that's going to challenge somebody like Anthony Davis, like really challenge him. Like come on, you know. I mean, these two are the two best players on the team, but do you think they ever got into a situation close to where they was about to scrap? I don't think so. And not to say that that happens amongst all teams and all great players, but I'm like, I don't think that would be unnatural, unnormal for for these niggas to really challenge each other like that. And I just don't see that from LeBron. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying, uh, I think that's what Anthony Davis needs. I'm on record as saying, them winning a championship in his very first year with the Lakers is a blessing and a curse because he won in his first year in LA, and you know that might kind of change his mindset a little bit. And then also, he's hooked up with LeBron, and LeBron is at this stage in his career where he definitely still wants to win, but I don't know, and I'm not never been anything close to a professional athlete, but so I ain't gonna talk about LeBron, but I'm just saying the LeBron that AD is hooked up with now, the mentality is different than versus the LeBron when he went the first few years to, let's say, Miami. That LeBron, dare I say, was a little bit more hungry. That LeBron, I was a little bit more hungry than this LeBron here. I don't, you know, I have no LeBron problem with LeBron. I'm glad that he came here, but I don't, the antics on the bench when we're getting fucked up. Uh, you guys know what I'm talking about, man. It's just there's not nothing to be laughing about. I know you're not laughing about that, and I know that's just kind of his character. LeBron has been known to be, kind of a big kid and big clown. That's cool. You gotta take the good with the bad, but I'm just saying, man, what you gotta realize, Laker fans, when we getting our ass whooped and all that kind of stuff, and we don't find nothing funny about that shit. Nothing, nothing, and really, and really, if you a Laker fan and you're like a newer Laker fan within the last 20 years, which means you grew up on Kobe, you really ain't gonna like that kind of shit because Kobe didn't go for that kind of shit at all. He was about winning. He wanted to win, and then anything else was bullshit. We've all seen the famous clip, "Job is not done." But anyway, we won't go there. But anyway, uh, yeah, so that's another reason why LeBron gets a lot of heat. But anyway, we not let's not go there because let's not go there. We'll just not go there because I don't want y'all to think I don't like LeBron. I do like LeBron, man. I wish he would have came earlier in his career to the Lakers. I really do because we could have did more damage. But it is what it is. At the time, we couldn't have him, so it's just the way it is, man. But anyway, guys, I'm at work. I need to go do what I'm supposed to get paid to do. So I'm gonna get ready to end this live stream. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to all the YouTubers that came into the chat. Go Mike, FYF Sports came into the chat. Salute Lamont. Thank you for checking me out. Thank That's one thing I will say about Lamont. He does scoot around all over the internet, and he will check out other channels. He will jump in the panel and salute everybody. So I appreciate that. Um, like I said, if I'm not back, this um, this afternoon, I will definitely be back about the same time tomorrow night because I will be working again, and so I'll definitely for sure be back then. Probably a little bit after 11 Pacific time tomorrow, 11 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Anyway, it's your boy AC. LA Sports Live. Once again, salute to everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody coming by. And I will wrap with y'all later. Somebody hit that outro for me.